And I want to welcome you to the SUNY DLE Brightspace webinar series. This afternoon, we're going to talk about the Brightspace Gradebook. My name is Jamie Herron. I'm the SUNY Online Program Manager at the SUNY Center for Professional Development. And I've been teaching online for almost 20 years. I was an instructional designer at a SUNY campus for almost 10 years, and I've been at the SUNY Center for Professional Development for about 4 years now. And I'm here to help you learn about the Brightspace Gradebook. And as I mentioned, I've been teaching a long time and an instructional designer for many of those years as well. And out of the 7 learning management systems that I've used kind of in depth, this is by far my most favorite gradebook I've ever worked with. And mostly because it's really easy to set up, it's been easy to manage, and because it allows me more flexibility than I've had in a gradebook, maybe ever in the learning management system kind of scenarios that we've had. For those of you who haven't participated in any of these scaled webinars, our format is that out of the hour and a half, the first hour is going to be dedicated to me demonstrating the gradebook and other aspects of grading here within Brightspace. I reserve the last 30 minutes for questions and answers. If you do find that you have a question from the, as I'm going through materials, I ask you to hold on to your question at first, because what tends to happen is you have a question, then it gets answered in the next couple of moments. And that's because you're anticipating what the next step would be. And we were anticipating those next steps kind of in that same frame, because all of us who have developed these materials are also teachers and tend to have the same questions that you do. If you do have a question that hasn't been answered, please feel free to post that in the chat. It is helpful, as you can see from this slide, that you include these that you include a capital Q or the word question in the chat, and that way it'll call my attention to it, because I will be referring back to those questions during the Q&A and will not be answering them during the actual demo. If you have a question that you would like to ask verbally, I ask that you hold off on that question until the Q&A portion, and then you can raise your hand in Zoom, or you can post in the chat that it's easier for you to ask your question verbally. And in either case, I will call on you and ask you to unmute your mic. At all other times, please maintain the mute on your mic so we can have a better listening experience for all of our attendees today. If you do need any accessibility accommodations in terms of captioning, just click on the CC icon on your Zoom toolbar and you should be able to see the transcript there across the bottom of your screen. And finally, I am clicking record here for this particular session because we have updated some of our materials since the last recording was made back in April. And I just want to make sure that we are keeping all of our recordings up to date. If you need access to those recordings, they're available on the DLE website. I'm going to show you how to access those at the end of this workshop. So with that, let me escape out of this PowerPoint presentation. And I just want to make sure that everybody can see the, it says Jamie Herron Gradebook Training here in Brightspace. Can everybody see that? If I could get a thumbs up or a yes in the chat, that would be great. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so let's get started. We're going to talk about the gradebook, and our recommended path for creating your gradable activities in gradebook is actually to get your gradebook set up first, because that makes it easier for you as you're creating your gradable activities to create a link between the gradebook and that gradable activity. So when you're ready to start adding gradable activities, just set aside 5 to 10 minutes to create that gradebook. It's going to make it so much easier and prevent some backtracking and duplication of steps there for you. So let's talk about how we build our gradebook here within Brightspace. There's going to be a link called Grades on your blue nav bar when you get into your Brightspace course. When you click on that, the first time you click into that, if no course content has been imported into your course, by the way, you're going to be brought to the gradebook setup wizard. I want to highlight here that we have 4 different tabs here within the grades area: the enter grades, manage grades, grade schemes, and the setup wizard. And so I'm going to go through each of these other 3 tabs once we've gone through this wizard. The wizard is named appropriately because it is a really quick and easy way for you to get your gradebook set up according to those parameters that you've set for your students in your syllabus. And so I'm going to run you through all 7 of the steps associated with the wizard, and we'll get you to adding some other elements in your gradebook after that. So when you come here into the gradebook wizard, it's going to give you the default settings for gradebooks here within Brightspace. And you can go through them if you would like. I'm going to just click start so that we can begin building our gradebook. Step 1 of the gradebook is for us to choose a grading system. There are 3 different grading systems that are available to us here within Brightspace. Weighted and points are both gradebooks you've probably heard of before, but Brightspace also has an addition system called the formula-based grading system. And I want to caution you, the formula-based grading system is custom built based on every single column within that gradebook is based off of formulas that you're going to write. And so if you're not comfortable already and fluent in Excel formulas, this might be a little challenging for you. And if it's something you feel like you absolutely need to do, I encourage you to work closely with an instructional designer on your campus so that it will work the way you intend it to work. The nice thing is, if you do want to use just a single formula or maybe 2 formulas within your gradebook, you can actually create or use formulas in either of the other 2 grading systems. So those are the 2 that we recommend you work with most, the weighted or the points, and really avoid formula unless you're an absolute Excel expert. In terms of these 2 grading systems, a point-based grading system means that 1 point is equivalent to another point. So it doesn't matter if you lose a point on a 100-point quiz or lose a point on a 10-point quiz. Ultimately, it's going to subtract that point from your overall total points possible. This is the simplest gradebook to set up, and I would say we see about 50-50. About 50% of our faculty use the weighted gradebook and 50% use the points. I'm actually going to demonstrate in this workshop the weighted grading system. And the first reason is because it takes an extra step to get set up, but also because it's the option that gives us the most flexibility in terms of our grading system. And I am always, in terms of my technology, I always choose the selection that gives me the most flexibility overall. Because what we see with a weighted grading system is that we can determine that we set categories for different items in our course. And say, for example, we have discussions and exams and written assignments and participation. Then we can set an overall percentage that those categories are going to be worth out of the 100% that's total in the course. So maybe your discussions are going to be worth 40%. Maybe your quizzes are going to be worth 20%, your assignments worth 30, and your attendance worth 10. And I'm so sorry, my cat is singing the song of her people because she's desperate to play right now. She has her mouse at my feet here. So anyway, the point of using the weights-based gradebook and the flexibility it gives you is because each category is worth a certain percentage of the overall 100%, you can kind of manipulate the number of assignments, the value of the assignments within those categories. And if you have to add or subtract, at some point during the semester, it's not going to impact that overall total as much as a points-based grading system does. So with that, I'm going to select the weighted grade book here. I'll scroll down and click continue. The next step is for us to decide how our final grades are going to be released to our students. Do we want to have a calculated or released to our students and to us, by the way, so we can see that final grade column, but do we want to see it as a calculated final grade or an adjusted final grade? And ultimately, these 2 options do the same thing until the very last second. What they're doing is calculating that final value based off of the parameters we've set for all of the assignments and the categories within our grade book. And then it puts in that final value. But with the calculated final grade, what we see is it's that column in our grade book is immovable. We can't make any adjustments to that final grade. In order to adjust that column, we would have to go back to any number of gradable activities in our grade book and then make adjustments to those scores in order for it to adjust that final grade. Whereas with an adjusted final grade, what it is a column that is editable. So if a student gets an 89.8, we can actually go in and round that up to a 90, or, so that they can get an A instead of a B+. If at any point in the semester you want to change your mind and you're like, oh, I'm going to choose calculated because that's easiest for me. And then you're like, oh, you know what? I did want to do the adjusted final grade. You can come back in here to the wizard and make that change so that you can adjust that final grade. I do tend to choose the adjusted final grade because, again, it allows me some flexibility and gives me full control over my grade book. I do leave this automatically release final grade selected, and I click continue. Step 3 is how we want our grades to calculate, and these are two very, very different options. So I'm going to run through the description of this, and then if you have any questions when you're running through the wizard itself, you can click on this help document, and it's going to give you a little bit more about what this option means. If you select a drop ungraded items, what that's going to do is it treats the columns in your grade book. It fills the column with a dash, and it treats that as a null value. So until you go in and enter a value, whether it's a 98, a 50, or a 0 for a particular student, the grade book is going to ignore that column. So a scenario you might see is that a student comes in and submits their first assignment and gets a 100. And then they don't submit anything for the next five submissions, and you don't go in and enter a 0. What the student will see when they go into the grade book is that their final grade is calculating as a 100. And so at this point, they're still thinking they're passing the course. But because the grade book is treating those ungraded items as a null, as if they don't exist, and once you go in and add zeros, the student's going to find out pretty quickly that they're failing the class once you enter those zeros. So if you choose the drop ungraded items, just be aware that because it's treating it as a null value, when a student fails to submit work, you need to go in and enter a 0 once you've provided feedback to the other students. Conversely, with the treat ungraded items as 0, what happens at the beginning of the semester, all of your grade columns are filled with a 0. So the student starts their semester with a 0%. And so that first submission, they submit a 100, and then they look at their final grade and it's going to look like they only have like 5% in the course. And this can be frustrating and maybe disheartening, or it might actually result in students feeling like they're not going to pass the class and dropping the class, even though they were actually on target to do very well. I'm just double checking. Marianne can't hear me. Other people can hear me though, I'm gathering. Yes. Okay. And so what we see then is that students have a kind of a lowered estimation of how they're doing in this option with treat ungraded as items, whereas sometimes with the drop ungraded items is they have an elevated perception of how they're doing. So an option here with the treat ungraded items as 0 is to provide calculated columns in your grade book that say, here's week 3, this is how you're doing right now based off of the assignments that are due to this date, and then do a week 6, week 9, 12, 15, etc. What I tend to do is choose the drop ungraded items. It's part of my grading practice to go in and add zeros after I've provided feedback to everybody for a particular assignment. But you may choose whichever one works best for you. I maintain this automatically keep final grade updated and click continue. Which brings me to step 4 of 7, where I choose a default grade scheme. Some campuses have already entered in their grade schemes here into the system, in which case you can select that if you're from one of these campuses. If you don't want to use a grade scheme, you can always go with the default, which then just goes whatever value you're adding it's based off of percentages. It doesn't actually equate that to a letter. And then when you enter that into your student information system, you can attribute a letter to the percentage. I'll click continue here. And step 5 is managing your decimal places. How many decimal places do you want to have displayed in your view of the gradebook? And the default is 2, and that's the one I tend to leave because that's 2 decimal places is sufficient for finances. So it feels like that's okay. If you want to add more decimal places to lower the rounding error, please feel free. You may choose whichever decimal options you want here. In step 6 of 7, we need to manage our students' displays here. So you can choose points grade and weighted grade. And I really feel like having both of these views available to your students is helpful. And I'll show you why when I go into the student view to show what feedback is going to look like for our students. If you do use the grade schemes, feel free to have the grade scheme symbol and color appear for your students in their display as well. You can indicate the number of decimals for your students to see. And this is going to indicate if you're going to have any columns in your gradebook where you're going to provide text feedback. It's one of the types of grade columns you can add. You can indicate how many characters are going to display in that column. And we'll discuss what that text item is going to look like in just a couple of minutes. And finally, I leave this displayed, which is to have the final grade calculations visible to our students. I click continue, and this brings me to the best step, which is 7 of 7, which is really just going back through the summary and making sure that all of these parameters are set to the way that we've indicated to our students our gradebook should be set. And then you can click finish, and we are all set with the gradebook wizard. We're brought immediately to this grade options page where we can create a new grade category or create a new grade item. So I'm going to create a new grade category right now. And because I am using that weighted grading system, and I'm going to call this one my discussions category. You can put in a short name if you want. That way, if there's only maybe one column in it and it's going to get truncated, you know what that column is representing. But I know that my discussions tend to be a little bit longer. I don't need a short name there. You can provide a description and allow your users to see it. And then here is where you're going to determine the weight of this category out of the total 100% available. For me, I'm going to have this worth 40%. So discussions are worth 40% of their overall grade. And then this button is important. If you ever offer extra credit, or if you offer bonus points for really exceptional discussion forums, etc., there's a potential that a student might get a 100 on every single one of their discussions. And then maybe they got a couple of bonus points and maybe they did some extra credit, which means they've actually earned above and beyond this allocated 40%. If you want them to hold on to those extra points, you want to make sure to select this button, which will allow them to exceed this 40%, in which case that if they've earned like 2% extra points, overall, that can bleed over into other categories, so that benefit might, if maybe they didn't perform as well on the exams, that benefit will carry over into something else. In terms of the distribution, we have 3 different ways that we can allocate grades across this category. The first is to manually assign weights to items in the category. So say, for example, you are using an exam category and you want to make sure that your final exam is worth 50% of the total weight for this category, and that your midterm is worth 25% of that. And then the remaining 25% is distributed across 5 quizzes. So each of those quizzes is going to be 5% of that total weight. So you can manually assign the weight that way. You could also distribute the weights by points across all of the items in your category, which means that in a similar way, although the math doesn't completely add up to what I was describing when I was manually assigning the weight, you could say my final exam is worth 100 points. My midterm is worth 50 points. And then each of my quizzes are worth 5 points each. And so you're essentially saying the final exam is worth way more than the midterm, and the midterm is worth way more than these quizzes. So that's just how you're indicating value there by choosing it, by indicating a level of points there. Or as with it, my discussion category here is a great example. You can distribute weight evenly across all items, in which case all of my discussions are worth 100 points. So they're evenly weighted automatically because of their value. But choosing this option then allows me to drop the lowest non-bonus items. So maybe I give my students one discussion freebie. So they can either choose to drop the discussion that they did poorly on, or maybe they were sick a week, or maybe they did really well on the first 9 discussions and they just don't want to participate in that 10th one, and that 0 then gets dropped. So this is a great option for you to employ when you have a category that's evenly distributed across all items. You have some options here where you can display the class average or grade distribution to your users. You can choose whether or not to allow that, and you can allow an override of the display options for this item. With that, you click Save and Close if you're all done building categories. I'm going to click Save and New so I can create more categories in here just so you can see. So I'm going to create another category, and this one's going to be assignments, and it's going to be worth 30%. I'm going to allow the category grade. I'm going to distribute by points across the category, and I'm going to save and create a brand new one. And this one's going to be exams. And the value is going to be 20%. I don't need to select this because there's no extra points here, and I'm going to distribute weights by points across all items and do one more. And this one is going to be participation. And in this case, I'm going to make a mathematical error on purpose because I want to show you what it looks like when you've made an error. I'm going to say this is worth 15%, even though that makes it not equal 100, but I want to distribute weights by points across this. I'll click Save and Close. What happens when you're all done setting that category is it pulls you back here into the second tab in your grades. And it's called Manage Grades. And so I can see my categories now listed in this table. I see discussions, assignments, exams, and participation. But I also have this note indicating that my final calculated grade, the sum is incorrect. It's summing to 105 instead of 100. And so I need to make an adjustment. I can do so here on this table. I can either make an adjustment, I can see which one of these is wrong, and I could go into participation and say edit and change that. Or if I need to make adjustments to all of these or more than one of these categories, it's actually easiest for me to select all of them and click bulk edit. And wherever you see bulk edit in Brightspace, that means it's intended to be a time saver. So here I can see the names of all my categories. I can add short names here if I would like. I can adjust the weights, and I can select can exceed or not. So this is the one I need to adjust in order for it to equal 100. And I click Save and Close. Now that note is missing. All of my discussion or all of my categories are now adding up to 100, which is what I'm shooting for here. I'm aiming for. Next, in this Manage Grades area, let's talk about these buttons because we haven't seen these before, and I want to talk to you about them a little bit. So this new, if you didn't work with the setup wizard and you needed to add a new category, this is where you're going to add a new category. But you can also add new items, and you can add an item if you need to add a calculated column, a formula column, etc. But you can also add items if this is a high flex course or a hybrid course, or it's a synchronous, or if it's a face-to-face course that you're supplementing with Brightspace. You can add columns for things that might not necessarily be submitted here within Brightspace. So I'm going to select item, and then there are 6 different item types, and I'll talk to you briefly about each of those. The first is numeric, and this is the standard. It's worth a particular point value, and it's the most frequently used. The next is select box, which works like you have a list. This is A minus, B plus, B, etc., or very good, exceptional, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, etc. So you can set up the parameters for your select boxes there. There's pass fail. there's a formula. So instead of doing that formula grading system that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, you can actually just have a formula column that allows you to do that kind of manipulation of the data for it to give you the number that you're looking for, et cetera here. You could use a calculated column too. So where I might use this is if I chose that treat ungraded items as 0 as the calculation method in my gradebook, I might create a calculated column for week 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. And that will then, that calculated column then is going to be for week 3 is going to be maybe based off of the first 3 assignments. It's going to tell them out of these 3 assignments what their projected final grade would be. And then you can catch them up with week 6, etc. And finally, we have the text option. Where I've seen this used in classes before is typically for courses that they have students go out on rotation, or they're in a lab setting, they're a clinical rotation, et cetera. And the clinical supervisor needs to provide feedback to the in-class instructor. And so they use a text box for that supervisor, the lab supervisor, to write things. And then the faculty member will translate that text into a grade value in a subsequent column, because the text column does not get calculated into the final grade, just as an FYI. So for now, I'm going to select the numeric grade item type. And this brings me to the page where I can set the name for this. So I might call this, what do I want to call this? I want to call this the in-class demonstration. And I might create a short name because, as you know, the columns within gradebooks can be a little bit short. And so I don't want to, maybe this is 1. So maybe I don't want to just see in-class demo. I need to know which number it is. So I could call it an ICD 1. And then I know at the top of that column what that column represents. Next, in terms of using the weighted grade system, I need to select which category this item goes into. For this example, I might put it into assignments. I could choose any of those other categories, whichever one is appropriate at that point. You can provide a description and allow users to see that if you would like, and then you have to give it a value. And this maximum points becomes important in just a moment, but I'm going to say this is worth 100 points. You'll notice that I can't add anything to the weight here, and that's because when I was creating the assignments category, I said that I was going to manage the point distribution by point value and not by manually including the weights here. So I can't adjust that here. This maximum point value of 100, if I want to give more than 100 to a particular student, say, for example, they've done an exceptional job and it was maybe one of the best in-class demonstrations I've ever seen, I might want to give them more than just 100 points. In fact, I might want to give them 102 or 105. Unless I select this can exceed button, the maximum value they can earn in this column is 100. And so selecting this allows me to add those additional points if I would like to. If this particular activity is an extra credit or a bonus assignment, I need to select this box so that it then, if a student doesn't do it or does poorly, it's not going to count against their overall grade calculation. If you have a rubric, you can add it here. You know, you can create rubrics, and we have a video on how to create rubrics within Brightspace available on our website, and I'll show you that at the end here. You can set restrictions so that if you didn't want students to be able to see this particular grade item, you could have it hidden until a certain point. You might have noticed that I didn't need to click save in between clicking in between these tabs because it saves automatically for you. I'm going to click save and close because now my item is all set. I don't actually want to restrict by time or date. And so you can see now that I've created a new column in my gradebook called in-class demonstration, and it falls underneath the assignments category. And right now it's worth 100% of these 30%. As I add additional items in my gradebook, this will change in terms of its overall impact on the 30% value, this weight here. All right, so that's how we set up our gradebook. That's how we use this manage grades area. We can create more items. We can create more categories if we need to, but if you're going to add more categories, just be aware you might have to adjust the weights elsewhere. With more actions, what you can do is you can reorder things within this particular table. You can view what changes you've made in the past in terms of your gradebook. You can make it visible or hide from users, and you can delete particular items by making visible or hiding particular categories or assignments from users. And you can then delete things from your gradebook. I do want to call attention to the fact that you can delete things from this grade item list only if they're not attached to a gradable activity within Brightspace. If you create a gradable activity and you link it to the gradebook, before you can delete it here from this table, you have to actually go back to that gradable activity and break the link, and then you can come back here and delete it, just as an FYI. All right, so we've talked about these other three tabs. The schemes is just the grade scheme, and if your campus has one, it's already in there. And then the enter grades area. This is where you're going to spend the bulk of your time once your course starts. In this view, you're going to notice that we have this enter grades tab, by the way, you're going to notice that we have a couple of different buttons to press. And this is where you might say, oh, this looks familiar. I see that I have my students' names and all of the columns go across to the right, and I can scroll and I can enter information, etc. So the import button, if you want to, you can import Excel spreadsheets here into your gradebook if you would like. You can export your gradebook, and it exports as a CSV or an Excel file. The CSV file that gets exported is actually, it will open up in the Excel. So, you can choose either item there. We do recommend that you do export your grades at a minimum of twice a semester. The first time you might want to do it is when there's you take attendance or there's a census that's due to your campus, and the students might be administratively withdrawn at that point. So you might want to download your grade book at that point. So if a student says, like, why'd you drop me? I've been submitting everything. You have access to that student's grades in an Excel file, and you can say, well, you didn't submit anything for the last 3 weeks, etc. And the other time you might want to do it is at midterms, but you definitely want to export that gradebook at the end of the semester, just so you have a record of students and their performance in your own files there. This button here is going to allow us to switch between two different views in our gradebook. What we're in right now is called the spreadsheet view. And what the spreadsheet view allows us to do is type numbers directly here into these columns. In the standard view, what we see is we no longer have the ability to write those numbers directly here into the gradebook. But what we will see here is icons when an individual has submitted something for us to grade that we need to attend to. So there are two different needs for the view, or two views that serve different needs, and you can choose which one you prefer. Either way, in either the spreadsheet or the standard view, you can click on the chevron next to a particular assignment, and you can enter those grades. Or you can, view statistics, etc. Both of the views allow you to get into the particulars of each individual column. All right, with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch us over to another training course that has a fully built out gradebook, so you can see those different views in a little bit more depth here. So I'm going to click into the grades in my full training course. And so what you can see here is it looks really similar. I'm in the Enter Grades tab here. I have my students here, and as I scroll across the bottom, you'll see here in Standard View that I have grades for students who have submitted work. This one is is treating ungraded items as, you know, a null value. So it's dropping ungraded items. And so it's got a dash, which means it's not counting against my student just yet. It provides icons when a student has submitted something. And if you hover over those icons, it's going to let you know what that icon represents. This means that Jane has submissions that I can view. And I can scroll all the way across, and you'll see here, if there is a new submission that I haven't viewed, that it's going to have an orange dot in the top right-hand corner. I'm going to show you how to grade those in just a moment. So I could click on that, I could grade it there. And then as I continue to scroll across to the right, you'll see additional icons indicating there's something for me to grade, etc. All right, so in the spreadsheet view, what this is going to look like when I have student data and some grades in it, you can see here that if there's a value already in it, I can overwrite that value. I could add in a 0 for this to let the students know, like, you didn't submit this, etc. And then I would click save. Okay, so now what I want to do is I actually want to take you into the student view so you can see what it's going to look like for a student to submit work within Brightspace. So I'm going to log out myself, and I'm going to log in as one of our sample students. And in this case, I'm going to go in as training student 2. And so I'm going to assume the persona of Amir, who I'm logged in as now, is Amir. And Amir is going to go into this Heron training course. And he's going to participate in a discussion forum. He's going to participate in an assignment, submit an assignment, and take a quiz. So he can access that through the content area. You know, typically, when I'm designing my course, I would design my learning resources, and then I would have a link to all of the gradable activities associated with those learning resources. But instead, I'm just going to drive my student through the course activities because it's a little bit faster in this instance. So he'll click on the discussions link and then scroll down to the discussion in question, which is the 8.2 discussion topic. And so you'll see here it says, Amir, please submit your main post by Thursday at midnight and your 2 peer replies by Sunday. So I'm going to click discussion topic, and wants to start a new thread. And this is going to say Amir's main post. And I'm not sure what Control Z. I need other language here, so just give me a second. I want some language I can post in there. You can see that my instructor has tied a discussion rubric to this, and if I wanted to see it as a student beforehand, that I can click on it and see what the criteria and levels of evaluation are. But I'm just going to go ahead and click post. So Amir has posted here. He then wants to respond to his fellow students, so he clicks on Jane's post and is going to reply to Jane. And enters in his text there, clicks post, and then wants to respond to this post here. And then enters more text here and clicks post. So now Amir has fulfilled the minimum requirements for this particular activity, this discussion forum. He's going to move on next to assignments. And he's going to click on the 8.2 assignment. In the 8.2 assignment, he reads through the instructions and he's going to add a file. And he's going to browse his computer and grab the paper here for it to be uploaded, and clicks add and says, please see my attached document. Thanks. And click submit. The student gets a confirmation that the submission was submitted. He can see the file that he submitted, the date, etc. And he's all done. And finally, he comes back here to take a quiz, and he can click on this quiz here. He reads the instructions here and clicks start quiz. So the question is, how many times do Jamie's cats get treats each day? And the absolute correct answer is countless times. He goes to the next page and says, which cat is in the cat tree trying to sit on another cat? I wrote this question when my cat Hot Sauce was sitting on Walter in the cat tree. So we'll select Hot Sauce. And then this other written response question, and what are Lou's favorite treats and what are the types of behaviors she will do? So Luthien's favorite treats are churros, also known as choo-choo treats. Cat's ears perk up at that. And freeze dried tomatoes, which sounds disgusting, and it is, but they really do love them. So I'm all done. I'm going to submit that quiz. And now Amir is completely done participating in the course. With that, I'm going to log out as Amir, and I'm going to log back in as myself so that you can see what it's going to look like for you when you have things to grade in your own course. All right, so with that, I'm going to click into this Heron training course. And nope, I'm not. I'm going to go back to the Center for Professional Development. I apologize. What I have now is I want to grade some assignments. I have some time. I'm teaching 4 or 5 different classes, and I want to go and see what's been submitted and what I can get graded now. And you might think then that I would have to go into every single different one of my classes and check, but there's a tool within Brightspace that is one of my favorites. It's a faculty time saver. It's going to change how you grade, and much for the better. So it's called Quick Eval. And if your campus doesn't have it out here at the institution tab, they might have it in your course navigation bar. If not, you can always access it from the administration panel, your course admin panel in your course. But out here at the Quick Eval, I click on it. And this will actually aggregate all of the submissions from all of your courses into one place. You can filter and say, you know what? Please don't show all my courses. I only want to see a particular course. Don't show me anything else right now. So you can really tailor how this is going to look for you, etc. There are 2 different views within the Quick Eval. The first is submissions, and this is going to give you a list of all of the students who have submitted, the different activities they've submitted, which course it's related to, and the submission date of those posts. You can sort by first name, last name, activity name, course, etc. So if I wanted to sort by activity, you would see that both Amir and Jane have submitted in the discussion, assignment, and quiz, etc. My favorite view in Quick Eval is actually activities. And that's because what it does is it breaks it out into these little rectangles of activities. The first one you can see is my 8.2 discussion topic. In this column, you'll see I can tell how many posts or submissions have been made. So for the discussion, there's 6 posts. For the assignment, there are 2 submissions. And for the quiz, there are 2 attempts. This column is going to give you an idea of how many students in your class, how many of them have submitted. So I have 3 students, and 2 of them have submitted thus far in all 3 of these activities. These columns are then to let you know how many of them you've evaluated, and then how many of them you've published so that students can see that feedback. You can also filter this. You can, of course, filter it by activity or by course. You could search, because once the semester starts, this Quick Eval can actually get rather lengthy, which actually helps promote you staying on top of it, because you want to keep this Quick Eval as clean as possible. But what you'll see is, as I hover over this rectangle, this gray circle drops down into this open circle, and it shows me a different view in the rectangle. So when I hover over it, you'll notice then that those gauges switch to these different menu options. Under more actions, if you have saved submissions as drafts or saved feedback as draft, you can publish all of it to your students at one time, or you can actually dismiss items from your Quick Eval if you don't want to look at them for a particular time. Maybe it's an assignment that's not due for 2 weeks. And so you want to dismiss this until the due date so it doesn't, sit in that quick eval, making you think you have things to grade. Or maybe you can dismiss it until the next submission. So I'm going to click dismiss until. And so I can dismiss an activity until the next submission, until the due date, or any other specific date. Or if you know that you've graded everything for a particular gradable activity and that 2 of the students on your roster are simply not going to submit it, you can actually dismiss that forever from your quick eval so it's not clogging it up there. I'm going to cancel this because I actually don't want to dismiss these 3, but I want to show you something up here with this ellipses up here in the top right hand corner. If you click that, you'll notice there's a menu for dismissed activities. And so if you've dismissed something and you want to get it back in your quick eval, you can come back through this list and search through that list. And maybe I want to bring this test back into my quick eval. I could select that and click restore if I would like to. All right, with that, let's get to grading. And what I find is if I hover over the activity that I want to grade, the best grading option here is evaluate all. I mean, you can go to the submission list if you would like, but honestly, the most effective route with the least amount of clicks, etc., is to click on evaluate all. That's going to bring me to this page, and I want to run through the interface really quickly with you. And it's going to give you the title of the gradable activity up here. You can progress through or backwards through your roster. So this is user 1 of 3, who is Jane. I could go to Amir. I could go to Tamara, but Tamara doesn't have any accessible posts right now. So I'm going to go back to Jane. If I hover over Jane's profile here, I can actually, if she's uploaded a picture, I can see that. I can see if she's offline or not, or whether or not she might not have shared that information, by the way. I could email her instant message if that's allowed on my campus, and I can view user progress for that particular student. In addition, I can get kind of an overview. She has posted 1 main thread and 2 replies. I can search threads and replies if I would like. I could sort in these different ways if I would like. And then I can scroll down and read her main post. I can see right here, it's worth 365 words. If I have enabled any kind of ratings in terms of thumbs up, thumbs down, star ratings, upvotes, etc., I would see an aggregate of that score as well over here. I read her submission, I read her responses, I read her other response, etc. And then I have some options over here. I've entered in a discussion rubric, and so if I clicked on that rubric, it will expand out here. This is really just for example. I haven't taken the time to set it up. I just wanted you to know that your criteria would be here. Any standards that you've set for each of these criteria will be listed out so that you know what you're clicking on. So this is a 1 out of 4. This is a 4 out of 4, 3 out of 4. I can just do that really quickly. And it's going to give them an overall score, and you'll see that it's added automatically here into this overall grade right here for me. This icon lets me see the class and user statistics for this particular activity. This icon indicates that it's attached to my gradebook, which are when I want to make sure if I'm assessing it that it's tied to the gradebook. And here's where I can provide overall feedback. And this is a part of regular and substantive interaction where I want to provide feedback that A, indicates that I've read their work and that it's made some sort of impact on me. There's something I might want to call attention to in a positive way. I might want to provide some critical commentary to explain the scores in the rubric, etc. So provide, what's the word I'm looking for? Personal and formative feedback so that they can make changes before the next discussion is due. You have the option to save this as a draft, or you can publish it. If you publish it, the student has access to the feedback immediately. If you want to wait until you're done grading everybody, you might want to click it as save draft. So right now, I'm going to click this as save draft. And I'm going to come back here. Actually, let me go to Amir, and I'm going to, I could read through all of his. I can provide him with feedback, and maybe he did this on this one and he got a 91, and here I'll provide feedback here. And now I'm ready to save this as a draft. My third student hasn't submitted work, so there's nothing for me to grade just yet, and the due date's not yet, so I don't have to give her a 0. So I'm going to return to quick eval now. You're going to see in this column now that there are no more submissions for me to view under this particular activity, that 2 out of 3 of the students have completed this work, and I've evaluated 2 out of the 3, but 0 have been published. If I hover over this again and I click more actions, I can actually publish all of this feedback to my students if I would like to. And I'm just going to do that for training's sake. I might wait until I know whether or not that student's going to submit or not, but I'm going to click publish all, and I'm going to confirm. And now both Jane and Amir have access to that feedback. The next gradable activity I'm going to look at is this assignment. I can see that there are 2 new submissions. I can see that 2 out of 3 of my students have submitted. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the discussion topic and come here to evaluate all. That's going to bring me to a very familiar page. It's just a little bit different, but the end result is pretty similar. I have the name of the gradable activity here. I can migrate or navigate between my students here. I can actually see information about my students, and then I have some options here. I can look at her submission and any comments she attached. I could download the files. I could click this ellipses and I could mark it as read. I could flag it. I could download it. Or I can come up here into this drop down and click on this link for her submission. And when I do so, it's actually going to bring this her submission up into this preview panel. And I can use the inline grading to mark up this document and provide feedback right on the document for the student to review later. So I'm going to expand this out to full view so it's a little bit easier for you to see what we can do. And I don't cover all the tools here in this gradable, in the grading of the assignment, but just know that you have lots of options with this inline grading tool. You can do text boxes, you can do shapes, you can do notes. So for example, if I click on this note, I can choose what color I want the note to appear as and maybe put something right next to this sentence. And I can say, this is a great paragraph and might be more impactful at the end of your paper in support of your conclusion. Right. Maybe I want to use the drawing tool so that I can draw something here like move this down there. Or I could say, oh no, that does not belong there, right? And then I could add another comment. I also have a text highlighter. So if I want to say something about their opening statement here, I can highlight that and click comment. And I'm like, this is a very powerful statement. So you have lots of options, and I encourage you to take advantage of the inline grading tool as you move throughout your Brightspace grading here. You can, of course, have a rubric attached to your assignment. I didn't attach one here, but it would display right here if you did have it. I'm going to give this student a 94, and I'm going to say, please see my comments that are available directly in line on your submission, and they can view it that way. We also have the option to create a video note here, which is maybe something that your students might find helpful for you to provide some of that feedback. We know through research that students tend to interpret criticism here of their paper more harshly than we intend. So if they could hear and see your reaction to their paper, they might not take it as personally or as critically there. So do consider doing this recording, the video, if you would like. I'm going to go ahead and publish this. Normally, I would save it as a draft and grade everybody else's first, but for training purposes today, I'm just going to publish this out. And I'm going to come back here to the quick eval. You'll notice now that my columns for the 8-2 assignment, I'm at 1/3 and 1/3. I would need to come back and complete that at a later time. I just want to show you what it's like to grade your quiz. Now, if your quizzes or exams have all automatically graded questions like true, false, multiple select, multiple choice, you won't need to grade anything in terms of your quizzes here from Quick Eval. If your quiz or exam, etc., has an open-ended question that requires manual grading, like the written response, that's when you're going to have to grade. So that's what I want to show you now. Hovering over this, I'm going to click on Evaluate All. So you see a little pattern here. You hover over the activity, click Evaluate All, and you're in the right place. You want to make sure on this page, it does look a little bit different than the other two, but it's similar enough we can navigate here. It gives you the name of the assignment. I can navigate, but only between users who have done a submission. So my third student, Tamara, who hasn't done any submissions, she's not included in these arrows. I can't navigate to her from here. It's important for us to make sure that it's on an attempt rather than the completion summary when we're trying to grade. Sometimes I've heard reports, people, I can't grade it. And this is the first question I ask, is it on an attempt? And they're like, ugh, it's on completion summary. So just as an FYI, that's a frequent error there. You can see the quiz's event log, get a little bit more information about how long Jane was spending in this quiz. You can see right now she only spent 47 seconds on it. So to do with that information what you will. And right now the attempt is she's got 4 points out of 14, but that's because I have to grade this manually graded written response question. And so her response is Lou's favorite treats, and what are the she does high five spins and she forgot play dead. So I'm going to give her a 9 out of 10. And I'm going to click publish here. And I'm going to come back to Quick Eval. And so you can see that as you progress in your grading, you've got some things that you can still, there's things that I still need to grade. This discussion topic here, I could actually eliminate from my Quick Eval. If I would like to, I might dismiss this until the next submission, for example, so that it's not cluttering up my Quick Eval tool. It's really handy that way. Some other ways that you can grade within Brightspace, I want to cover those in the next couple of minutes here, is if I go into my Heron training course, I can go into the gradable activity itself. And say, for example, I go into discussions. I can go into the discussion forum here, the topic rather. And this will take me to a list of all of the submissions. I can click on Amir's main post and click on more actions, and I can assess it, which takes me to a very familiar page. That's because I've already been on this page from Quick Eval. So you can see how much faster it is to go into Quick Eval than it is to actually navigate to the discussion topic itself and provide feedback there. But here in the discussions, if you want to review or participate, then and see it in context, you know, like this main post and what the thread looks like, you can of course come here into the discussion area. To grade an assignment, you would come here and you have a list of all of your assignments. This is the assignment here. I can click the drop down and I can view submissions, or I can click on the link here and go to the assignment itself. And here I will see I have 2 submissions here, one from Jane and one from Amir. And when I click on the submission itself, guess what page it takes me to, right? That same place that we got to from the Quick Eval. So ultimately, all roads lead to the same place. It's all going to bring you back to that evaluation page. And the same thing is true of the quizzes. But where you can also grade is from the gradebook itself. And in this terms, it's actually easiest if you're in standard view. So I'm going to switch over to standard view. And here you can scroll across your gradebook and you're going to be looking for any submissions that have an orange dot on them. So let's see, we have this. Sorry, where is the, oh, there it is. I have a lot of assignments in here, sorry. The 8-2 assignment, that's actually unread. So I could click on this assignment and guess where it's going to take me? Right here again. So I could grade from here if I wanted to, or I could click, you know, here in this quiz, this one's ungraded. I could click on that and I could grade Amir's performance on this particular quiz. So just know that in the standard view, you have that option. If you need to enter zeros, because I've graded assignments already, and if I have my gradebooks set to drop ungraded items, I need to switch to the spreadsheet view so that I can add zeros. And so say, for example, Jane and Tamara didn't submit this assignment. I could click a 0 here and a 0 here, and I could click save. Another option that I have is to scroll over and maybe I want to, I could click on the chevron and I could enter grades. And I can do this in either standard view or in spreadsheet view, by the way. So I can enter grades. And this brings up a page where I can enter in the values for everybody. So Amir and Tamara didn't submit, and I can see that they didn't submit because there's no icon here. And then I can provide feedback. So like, Amir, you neglected to submit this activity, and click save. So you have lots of different ways to grade, you know, as you progress through your course. If you need a refresher on all these different methods, please feel free to refer back to this video and you'll get a great idea about how you can manage your gradebook there. All right, I just want to make sure I got through everything I was supposed to. It's really hard to get through all this material in an hour. I know I went really fast. I just wanted to get through as much of it as I possibly can. So let me stop my share, and I'm going to grab the attendance link. For the gradable, or for the gradebook rather. And I will post that in the chat. And I'm going to click on this link and show you how to get logged in. So let me share my screen again. And clicking on that link is going to take you to the CPD Events Air registration system. So you're going to have to select you're going to have to sign in. So you have to select which campus you're from. And then you're going to have to enter in what's called your SUNY Federated ID, which is just a fancy term for your campus login. So you type in your username and password for your campus. That gets you into the media station on campus or into your computer on campus, etc. And then it will open this page here for you to mark that you attended this gradebook webinar. Okay. Okay, with that, I'm going to come back and just make sure that there aren't any questions in the chat. I know that a couple went through. Let me just double check. Can instructors see a student's graded rubric in the gradebook? So say, for example, we did do the gradebook or the rubric rather. I'm going to switch to standard view here. I'm going to go to that discussion for Jane that we graded, which was the 8-2 discussion. And I can always come back here and see rubric and how they scored in that. I can expand that out if I wanted to. So you can see it from the gradebook. Students will also see it. Oh, that's what I forgot to show you. I'm terribly sorry. I knew I was forgetting something. Let me log back in as a student and show you now what Jane sees from her point of view in terms of grades. I need to make sure that we cover all of this, sorry. So I'm going to bring Jane to the Heron training course. And she can get feedback for her grades in a number of ways. It depends on what she set her notifications up as. So you can see if she clicks on this update alerts, she's going to get updated these scores here. She could also go to grades, where she will see, you know, her overall grades, any of that feedback that gets typed into that square, graded rubric, for example. She can open that and it will show her how she scored on each of those things. She can view the inline feedback here and see the drawings or the comments that were made, etc. And so she has access to all of that grade information, and she can print it. But what she also has access to is what I think I can't wait to have my students use this. It's called class progress. And it gives the student a lot of information about their performance on certain kind of topics, areas within their course, how they've done out of their 24 grades that they've received. You know, she's gotten a couple zeros. She's also gotten some really strong grades. She can expand this menu out and then see even more about her submissions. And do you remember when we were setting up the grade book, how I said the student, you want to make sure that they can see the percentage and the weight? This is very helpful to students. So she can see that it's worth 4.4% of her final grade. And because she didn't submit it, she got 0%, which means that the highest grade that she can get is a 65.56. So it really helps them understand what the impact of missing a particular assignment is. They can see the feedback for any of these submissions here. I'm trying to find. So she can see, and I'm just going to click on this. So they can see the inline feedback here. They could see the rubric if it was attached there as well. She can see how many pieces of the content she's attended, how much time she spent in the course, and the overall completion rate of her time in the course. And then she can expand on this and learn more about which topics she has visited. All of the information on the discussions she's posted, assignments, quizzes. And then she can see course access as well as system access. So you can see it's been a while since she's entered this particular course, since the middle of July, but she has been accessing the Brightspace system here. So it's a helpful tool for students to see. And then in terms of class progress for faculty, let me log back in as myself so I can show you the faculty view here. I have access to class progress as well, but it's in addition to the main page. I can see an overview of all of my students. Students don't see this page, they only see their own page, but I can get a broad overview of how my students are progressing here. And then if I want to know more about a particular student, I can click on that, and then I can see all of these criteria here and view more in depth if I have any questions about that. So I apologize for not covering that before, but anyway, let me answer Jonathan's question. Can we enable students to submit files such as a Word and PowerPoint for assignments? Yes, and I cover that in the Gradable Activities Scaled webinar. We talk about how to do that. And our plagiarism prevention services integrated into Brightspace? Yes, they will be. So reach out to your campus and they'll have a conversation with you about Turnitin, etc. And if you have a proctoring tool that your campus is going to use, they'll provide you with that information as well. Is the recording of this webinar going to be posted somewhere? Yes, absolutely. I'll show you that in just a moment. I allow my students to drop one of my quizzes. Do I use the distribution area and select the number of lowest to drop their lowest quiz? Yes, so you're going to have it in your grades area, in your managed grades view here with your categories. You need to make sure that you have the distribution set up here to distribute weight evenly across all items, and then you would choose the lowest of non-bonus items to drop here in your quizzes category, right? So you can't even find Quick Eval. My toolbar is different. So is that a question for our local people? If you can't find it on your toolbar, you will find Quick Eval in your course admin panel for your particular course. So here in my hair and training course, I come into my course admin panel, which you might find under course tools, click Quick Eval, and it's going to take us out to the Quick Eval, which then will pull information from all of my different courses here. Okay. To clarify, if a student takes a quiz and earns bonus points, so their grades are over 100%, do I check allow to exceed category weight? Yes, because otherwise it cuts it off at 100%. Cornelia asks, can an instructor see what a student will see without logging in as a student? You can go in as student view, but the student view is a little different in this learning management system compared to some of the other ones. You can't go in and practice participating as a student to practice grading. So there is a slight issue. A lot of campuses are creating practice students, but you can discuss with your campus that particular thing. So you can go in as student view and you can see, what's released and what's hidden, or you'll see what you can't see, right? Because it won't be there anymore that you might normally see in your instructor view, but you can't see the quiz. You can't see the, you can submit discussions and assignments, but they don't actually stick. So you can practice and see what that looks like, but you can't go back in and grade it. Question. I teach the same course, but 2 different sections. We've been told we cannot merge our sections. I know you mentioned you can merge your courses when grading. Can this be done with 2 different sections? So those are 2 different things. The Quick Eval merges all of your grading into a single Quick Eval page. That doesn't mean the courses are merged. It just means it's pulling your grading information from multiple courses and putting it in this kind of spreadsheet for you here where you can grade. Merging your courses is going to be made, the decision whether or not that's possible for you on your campus is made at the campus level. It's technically possible within Brightspace, but not all campuses are allowing that. All right, so I got to the end of the question list here. Does anybody else have any questions for me? I'm happy to answer them. If not, I will show you where you can access the recordings. So you can go to the tle.suny.edu website. And if you hover over the trainings tab and click on recordings, you'll be brought to a page that, here, I can log out, sorry. If you click on the recordings page, it's going to say private content. And then you can click on the SUNY Federated login. That private content just means that all of these videos that we've created to help our SUNY faculty and staff, they're behind authentication. So you have to log in order to see them. So you click on the SUNY Federated login. You'll have to select your campus from a drop-down menu, and then it's going to drive you to a login screen where you're going to enter in that same thing you were entering to do attendance, your campus username and password. And then you'll be brought back out to the main page. You have to hover again over trainings and click on recordings, at which point you'll have access to all the recordings we have available at this point. And that includes, you can actually filter these by the 8-hour fundamentals workshop. And so that runs you through day 1 through 4 of all of the topics that we cover. You can see the Otter Institute, which we ran last week, which talks about advanced tools within Brightspace. And so these are all the things that we don't have time to cover in the fundamentals workshops. So if any of this might be helpful to you, please feel free. And then all of these scaled webinars, which again, we are updating these as we this week, because we've added some new tools and the interface looks a little bit different than it did back in April. So we are updating these recordings. So there's a question in private chat. Is Brightspace in sync with Google Docs? So you can actually tie Brightspace to your Google Drive. So you can attach it and bring in, folders, documents, sheets, etc., straight from your Google Drive. Students can access them. You can do links directly to your Google Drive through this. You can also do it with your, oh my gosh, what is it for Word? OneDrive? Hang on just a second. I know it. Let me come into a page here. I'm pretty sure it's OneDrive. Yeah, it's OneDrive. Whew. All right, thank you. Somebody posted just as I find that. All right, yes, absolutely. So they do have access to Google or OneDrive through Brightspace, which is a really great feature, especially if you've already got a lot invested in either one of those in terms of file management. It's really easy to pull from that way. All right, any other questions before I let you go to have some dinner? Okay, so there was a question about somebody for the attendance. If you just want to hang around after everybody else leaves, then I can address that for you. And I want to thank you all for your time and attention today, especially this late in the evening. And I wish you the best of luck